Alrighty, everybody. Good evening. This is Bronson's By Any Means Necessary Fantasy Football Talk for Wednesday, December 8th. As I've been saying for the last couple of days, I've been having some car problems. It's been real smoky. A coolant leak somewhere. Not sure what the hell the problem is. It sounds like talking to some people who know what they're doing, who haven't seen my car, so they can't like 100% diagnose it, but they say it's a water pump, and allegedly that's an easy fix. So I'll be really grateful if that's what the problem is. However, my car died on me on the way home. Luckily, I'm really grateful again for the fact that I was off the freeway. I just hit the exit that I needed to get home, so I was off the freeway, thankfully. And some very good people helped me push my car from the exit to the nearest parking lot that we could find. Now I kind of hope it doesn't get broken into. I'm really worried about someone stealing my gas because my gas tank doesn't lock. But there's nothing really valuable in my car that is worth anything. There's no catalytic converter to steal. I don't have a catalytic converter on there. But I'm just hoping my engine isn't seized up because, yeah, it wouldn't restart for me today. But it was a little hot. I don't know. My gauge, a lot of my gauges on my dashboard don't work anyway. So perhaps the temperature one doesn't work. But I think the temperature one does work because it's always been reading normal. And then there was that one day where it did go up into the red, like it was overheating. It told me it was overheating that day. All these other days, like today, before it died on me, it wasn't even reading like halfway. It was actually below halfway, which is better than normal. So, yeah, something's going on. Hopefully it's just a water pump, and hopefully I can get my car to start tomorrow. After work, I'm gonna go over there, walk over there, and see if I can start it and drive it home for 3 minutes. 3-minute drive home, and then I'm gonna park it there until my dad or somebody can come and look at it this weekend. I was hoping that my car would last until the weekend. It did not. Now I'm gonna have to go back to Uber and Lyft, even though I hate Lyft. I hate their business model. I hate the way they price gouge. I just hate everything about it, honestly. I think it's a good idea, but the way Lyft goes about it, the greedy way Lyft goes about it, can't stand. I was hoping to never have to use that service again, but I will. I'm considering calling in sick to UPS tomorrow, so I don't have to get up at 3 a.m. and try to get to work. I'll just go to my regular job, which starts at 8 a.m., which is a much more reasonable time. You know, buses run at that time of day, so I would be able to get to work on time. And yeah, take the bus home, which means my limited free time is going to get even more limited. But it's not like I haven't done this before. It's not like I didn't just get my license back 5 months ago. It's not like I didn't do this last Christmas, and no free time last holiday season, made a lot of money. So yeah, it's not like I haven't been through this before. Things were looking up for me finally. It was like the first, like this whole year really. 2021 was just a great year, and now it's kind of ending on a sour note. I don't know how much money I'm gonna have to put into this car, or if I'm gonna have to buy a new car, which means I'm probably not gonna be able to travel. You know, I've already taken this month off traveling. I don't want to have to take January off traveling too. You know, and my rent's going up next month too, $50 a month. So I mean, it's not that significant. My rent is still pretty cheap. I'm very fortunate to have the place I have, and have such low overhead. Really, I make pretty damn good money, and I have very low overhead, very low expenses. I'm, you know, thankful for that. And so another $50 a month, not gonna be a huge hit, but still, it's just, you know, I gotta afford Christmas presents still too. yeah, it's just not the best time to be having car problems, but it is what it is. I'm hoping it's just a water bump and that I can still salvage this engine in this car. But we'll find out this weekend. Some more news today. I don't know what took me so excuse me. It took me so long, but I finally purchased ESPN Plus. I'll be spending $7 a month on that. It's nice to get access to a lot of the articles on ESPN that I was missing. It's nice to get access to Zach Lowe's columns, weekly column, basketball columns. It'll be nice to be able to read Matthew Berry's love and hate, because even though, I like to get fantasy information wherever I can get it, even though the season's almost over now. So I like, excuse me again, something in my throat suddenly. I like to get fantasy info wherever I can get it, but also mostly I just like to read Matthew Berry's writing. I think he's a really good writer. He's someone that I, kind of modeled my own writing after. So, yeah, that's the news of the day. With me, this will be the defense special teams edition, as it usually is on Wednesday. It's not the greatest week for defenses. There's really only about 8 defenses that I am semi-confident in, and really it's probably more like 7, but I do have a list of 11 for you. I've got my top 10, and then one defense outside my top 10 that is in a lot of other people's top 10 that is probably worth picking up for you this week. Oh, I have a cramp. Also bad hips, so if I sit wrong, I get a sharp pain in my hips, and then I have to adjust and figure out how to get it to go away. But I got a cramp, Charlie horse, in my upper hamstring area too. Okay, so my top 10 defenses. Number 1 is the Saints defense against the Jets. And Zach Wilson, Mr. Mistake, Mr. Interception, we'll call him. Saints defense also really good, even though they may be missing Cameron Jordan. That's something to be monitoring, but even without him, I think the Saints are still top 5 defense for the week. The Packers, which caught me off guard when I was looking at this, Packers are top 5 fantasy defense this year. Who knew? I didn't see that coming. I pay minimal attention to the Packers. So good for the Packers being the top 5 fantasy defense. Definitely top 5 matchup this week against the Bears, whether it's Andy Dalton or it sounds like it'll be Justin Fields. Doesn't matter. Bears offense is very exploitable for a good defense. Titans coming off a bye against the Jaguars, the terrible Jaguars. I don't know what is going on. I really thought Urban Meyer was going to have a much more successful venture into the NFL than this. I'm a little surprised by how bad he's been, honestly. But, yeah, Titans defense coming off a bye should be adequately prepared for a bad Jaguars offense. The Broncos defense against the Lions, who, up until last week, the Lions were nothing special on offense. But if the Broncos at least play defense, unlike my Vikings did for most of that game, they should be able to contain the Lions pretty well and put up a decent fantasy showing, especially since the Broncos are still, even without Von Miller, one of the top 6 or 7 defenses in fantasy, depending on your scoring of your league. Panthers defense against the Falcons, another good defense coming off a bye, facing a bad offense. It doesn't get much better than that. Cowboys defense against the Washington football team. Cowboys defense are one of the top 10 defenses in fantasy this year as well. And the Washington football team, despite, the Washington football team is not terrible offensively. They just, it's a offense that a good Cowboys defense should be able to, have a good day against. The 49ers defense against the Bengals. 49ers defense has really come on lately. And the Bengals are kind of, I don't know if they're struggling really, but it just seems off. The Bengals offense seems a little off right now with Jamar Chase being a little inconsistent, and I think the offensive line is a little banged up as well, even though Joe Mixon doesn't seem to be facing him too much. 49ers defense should be a top 10 play for the week because, again, it's not the best week for defenses. Browns defense against the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, and the Ravens offense has looked really sluggish lately. And the Browns, another defense coming off a bye, another decent defense coming off a bye, facing a struggling Lamar Jackson. Could be a good day for the Browns. And then we got the Ravens defense against Baker Mayfield. And the Browns, the Browns have not met expectations this season. That's what the Browns do. The Browns disappoint. And the Ravens defense, though it's not super great this season, the Ravens defense definitely hasn't met anybody's expectations this season either, but they have had a couple of pretty good days. The Browns this week, divisional game, could be another one of those good days. And lastly, the Chargers defense minus Joey Bosa against the Giants. I was a little reluctant to put the Chargers on my list. It's just, again, not a deep list of defense special teams for the week. The Chargers make the list because they're facing either an injured and mistake-prone Daniel Jones, or they're facing a really bad backup in Mike Glennon. Plus, Saquon Barkley is really awful this year. The Giants' offense as a whole is just really awful, really banged up. So the Giants this year, whatever defense they're facing, that defense is going to be in the streaming conversation, no matter how bad that defense may be. Which brings us to our last one, outside my top 10, but in a lot of people's top 5 this week, is the Seahawks. The Seahawks defense has been terrible this year, so there hasn't been many opportunities to match them up or find a good matchup or a streaming day for them. But if there is a streaming day for the Seahawks, it is this week against the Texans at Texans. There will be no Tyrod Taylor. Will be rookie Davis Mills, who I thought Davis Mills looked okay when he was given the opportunity, but he is an inexperienced rookie. So, there is a possibility that the Seahawks could get a lot of turnovers in that game. Plus, the Texans' offense is just bad all around. Texans' offense, again, just like the Giants, is another one of those offenses that you can stream a defense against all season and probably turn out okay. Yeah. All right, I kept it under 15 minutes. We're making progress here. So, yeah. Again, hopefully I can get this car problem solved relatively easily. Doesn't necessarily have to be cheap. I can afford to pay it. I would just obviously prefer a payment option instead of one lump sum. That's why I would like if my dad or my brother would fix it. They're car guys. That's why I never really. I think you probably disappointed my dad that I never really got into cars because when I was young, I was like a car prodigy. I could name the make and model of every car when I was like 3-4 years old. So my dad probably thought I was going to be this car guy, this car genius, and I just never really got interested. I think that's probably disappointing for him, but there's lots of car guys in my family, so I never really had to worry. I've never really had to worry about my car. There's always someone there who's been able to take care of it. But the problem is now I live 2 hours away from them. I'm not 15 minutes or half hour away anymore. But I mean, it's not that I'm not interested in cars. I like cars. Like I have dream cars that I salivate over. Like I would love a Jaguar E-Type someday, or an Aston Martin DB5, or a Ferrari. I want those kinds of cars. But I know how to do the basics. I could fix my brakes if I needed to, or change my oil, or fix a flat, change a tire. um, add fluids. I know how to do all that stuff. It's just like the major stuff. I never learned, never was interested in learning, and was spoiled by a plethora of options of people in my family who not only would do that, but would enjoy doing that. So it's like, I feel like when I go to them with my car problems, it's like, it makes them feel wanted, it makes them feel needed, and it makes them feel, you know, they get to do something that they enjoy doing, they're passionate about, you know. So it's like, why would I want to deprive them of that joy when I can give them that joy? It's like, you know, like fantasy. Like if you can probably set your lineup just fine. You don't need any advice, right? You're probably just gonna do, you know, if you ask me for advice, you're just gonna do what you were originally gonna do before I told you what to do anyways. But just the simple fact that you're asking me makes me feel, you know, needed. Makes me, you know, I get to do what I enjoy, talk about what I enjoy. You know, so it's kind of the same, similar scenario. Obviously, no, like fantasy sports is not anywhere near as applicable in life or as important in life as fixing cars. But you know, it's like, I don't know. Those things I enjoy, and I enjoy when people come to me to talk about those things or to help them with those things, you know. So it's kind of how I feel when I ask, or when I need that kind of help from someone who knows cars and enjoys cars, you know. So like, whatever. So I didn't keep it under 15 minutes, but it's still under 20. I'm not going to ramble for another 3 minutes, I promise you. But yeah, I'm hoping that I get my car fixed and, you know, not have to pay $2,000 tomorrow to make that happen. That would be ideal. So I'll pay $2,000 on a payment plan. That's fine. No problem with that. All right, I'm gonna end this. We're hitting the stop sign, hitting the red button that ends this. Peace, love, and nacho fries. Hang loose.